I am cow, hear me moo. I weigh twice as much as you, and I look good on the barbecue. Yogurt, curd, cream, cheese, and butters made from liquid from my udders. I am cow, hear me moo. I am cow, eating grass, methane gas comes out my ass, and out my muzzle when I belch. Oh, the ozone layer is thinner from the outcome of my dinner. I am cow, I've got gas. I am cow, here I stand, far and wide upon this land, and I am living everywhere. From BC to Newfoundland, you can squeeze my teats by hand. I am cow, I am cow, I am cow. I am cow, I am cow, I am cow.
Right, so we got the basic shape of the cow here, or the bull. You can spend as much time on this as necessary. Obviously, inside a tutorial, we've only been working on it for like 20 minutes or so, but it's looking fairly good. But I just wanted, before we finish today, show you another couple of techniques. This cow doesn't have a tail, and it doesn't have ears, and doesn't have a horn. And the temptation would be to do this all in sculpt. So, you know, maybe grab a snake hook and, well, let's do it, and try and pull a tail out. And but you know, it's looking more kind of dinosaurish. So what I would do is I would actually make these separately and graft them onto the mesh. So let's go into an object mode here. Let's say a tail. Now a tail is basically a cylinder, so let's move my 3D cursor over here, and we'll add a mesh cylinder. Okay, I don't want fill caps on this at the minute. Nothing. I want to rotate it on the y-axis by 90 degrees. That's looking way off, isn't it? However that happened. What's going on up here? Let's make Z0. Let's reset this fully. Okay, rotate it on Y by 90. Scale it not on X. Shift X. So let's bring this down this way. So we've got this nice cylindrical type of tail. Let's add a sphere. UV sphere will be fine. Let's rotate it so the pole is outwards. So RY 90. Let's scale this down. Bring this out here. Maybe scale it a bit more. Okay. Let's go into edit mode with this. Let's turn on proportional editing. Okay, let's grab this pole and let's kind of bring it out. I probably want a different profile here. There we go. Right, in object mode, let's turn proportional editing off. Let's join these two. Actually, let's not join them. Let's use a Boolean modifier. So let's grab one of these pieces. We'll call it this end bushy part. Boolean, and what we want to do is we want a union. We want to join them. So we'll take this object as the cylinder. We can go to wireframe here to see what's going on, and we can see that this will join just leaving or deleting this kind of part here. So let's apply that. Let's go back into object mode. Sorry, view, solid view. So grab this cylinder and delete it, leaving us with just this object here. Alright, we need to shape this, so let's add a curve, and we'll add a bezier. We'll align this to the view. Let's pull this bezier across a bit. Let's add a curve modifier to this, and our object will be the bezier. Is this working too well? No, it's not. It's not deforming because I don't have any geometry on the cylinder. So let's delete that modifier for a second. Let's go back into edit mode. I've got no geometry along the length of it. So let's Control R. Let's add a whole bunch of geometry here so it can deform nicely. And let's try that modifier again. Pick up the curve, there you go. Right, now we should be able to edit our bezier and make this shape more the way we want. There we go. That's a bit better. Let's pick up the tail again, apply that modifier. We can get rid of this curve now. Now what we can do is we can move this, it's actually very long, isn't it? I wasn't looking for scale there, but that's alright. Let's scale this. Come into a front view. You can move that onto the end there. It's fairly central there. Okay. What we can do then is we can once again use a Boolean. So we can select the, let's select the cow. We'll use a Boolean modifier. And for the object, I'm just going to use my eyedropper tool here and pick up the tail. We'll make this a union. And we can apply that. Okay, so now let's pick up the original tail, which is there. We can delete that, and we can come back in and start to graph this in with sculpting. So sculpt, and let's do a smooth. What I'm actually going to do here to kind of smooth this out a bit is I'm going to use Dino Topo. And then I can start to that didn't look too good, did it? Let's just build this up a bit. I've got my Dino Topo one. Let's turn the detail size down. Okay, that's not looking too good, is it? That's our original. let's come back to smooth. Let's see what we can do here. Let's turn off this smooth shading. And details turn down. Let's see what happens here. You can kind of see what's happening here is it's... Okay. Might have a bit of fixing work to do down here in a bit. Let's turn this dyno topper off. Start to smooth some of this stuff out. Doing too well for me, is it? It's something to spend a little time on, I suppose. Let's build a bit of geometry up around here. There we go. Yeah, we're starting to smooth it. It's because of the transition. We got some very high geometry here compared to the low poly here. So using a dyno is kind of putting in the geometry, the extra geometry we need to kind of smooth this, one would think. It's working somewhat. Turn this dyno off now. Okay, that's kind of... creating slight holes there. Not holes, it's just kind of shade. I think if I was to redo this now, I'd make the tail a bit thicker. So it blended in more properly. But that's the idea of it. Do the same ears. Let's model some basic ears here. Let's go into object mode. Ear. Well, how should we do an ear? Let's use a UV sphere again. Let's rotate it on the X by 90. Let's flatten it down on the Z. So we're getting this kind of pill shape, I suppose. Let's go to top view. And look at our background geometries on there. Yeah. Picking up extra vertices I didn't want it to. Blender seems to do that a lot in 2.79. I don't know why. And it didn't pick them up there. Let's try that again. Oh, that's better, isn't it? Let's delete those. Let's pick up this edge loop. Let's extrude it on a Y. Nice ear length. Let's add some geometry there. And okay, back into object mode. Let's add another curve here, wherever that added, right in there, I guess. Well, let's align it to view. Where'd my curve go? Not seeing it. So Shift A, add a curve, add a bezier. Should add here, which it has. Okay. Right. So let's edit this. Bring this over. May need to size this whole thing up a little bit more. Okay, add a curve modifier to this, and we'll pick up our bezier. So getting this kind of ear shape here. That's good. Let's apply that. Let's get rid of this bezier. Alright, let's scale this down. Grab it, bring it over. Okay, so we're getting this long floppy ear here. We want to mirror it, so let's add a mirror modifier, which is there. We want to mirror it on the Y and not the X, or maybe on the Z, maybe on the X, none of it. Y, okay. Well, let's look at our rotations are wrong, so let's apply that first. Rotation scale. Let's change our pivot point to the 3D cursor, and let's reset the cursor with Shift C. Okay. Now we're getting this kind of ear going this way, because the origin was not on the 3D cursor, so let's cancel that again. Let's set the origin here to the 3D cursor. Now if we try our mirror modifier, and we do that on the Y, we're getting both ears where they should be. We can apply that modifier, making this one object, and once again we can do a boolean with this. Let's add a boolean. Let's pick up the ear object, and we'll change this to a union. Okay, we can apply that. Now we should be able to pick up the original ears and delete them. And once again we could come into a sculpt mode here, and let's just smooth this edge out. It's working a lot better here when the geometry is kind of similar, isn't it? I would redo that tail if I was continuing with this, but there you go. So the things like the nose you made and that, if you were making a face, I think I've said before, you know, a lot of sculptors will reuse parts. And that's the way you could do it is by kind of adding them in with a boolean and then just using the sculpt tool to mold them, to shape them in. You can see though, those ears are now most definitely part of that object. They don't look like a separate object. And you know, you could do the same with the horns and everything else. But the other thing I want to address here, how are we doing on time? 20 minutes. Okay, we'll do it quickly. The other thing I want to address here is I'm still not happy with kind of like the overall proportion with this. It's a stylized model. It's fine. It's stylized, does kind of overemphasize things, but you still get the impression of what it is. But I either want on this, I either want the head wider or the body thinner. So to do that, let's go into object mode. To do that, I think with this instance, let's just do smooth shading on this object, make that all a bit smoother. Okay, on this object, to do that, I think what I would do is I'd use a lattice modifier. So I'm going to add a lattice. Okay, let's bring this lattice up about here. Let's scale it up. I need to reset my... Okay, let's scale this up. Let's scale it down on the Z. Move this across this way a little bit. Let's go to the front view and just scale it on Y. Okay, now on my lattice properties I would start to add something here, some on the Z-axis as well, maybe about there, and we need some. It's quite a dense lattice, but it'll work for us. Alright, I think about there might do. Right, okay, so let's select the cow. Let's add the lattice modifier. There it is. Let's select our lattice. Now we can start to edit the lattice. Might be easier if I just do the outsides here. Right, so let's edit the lattice. I think with this I'll make the body thinner first. So I'll do a box select here. Okay, I can come round and I can scale these on the y-axis. Kind of make the body thinner without affecting the head. What did I miss out? Oh, that's the head lattice. I was looking at these here thinking what didn't I select, but it's actually the head that I haven't selected. So yeah, I can slim the body, still keep the head, and I'm getting much better kind of proportions here. I'm actually quite liking that. So let's select the cow and let's apply that lattice modifier. And now I can select the lattice and delete it. Yep, I'm a lot happier with that. Let's have a look at Moody again while we're here. Okay, so yeah, as I said, we're not going to do it exactly the same with Moody. You can add horns the same way as I added the ears. You know, spend more time, get the shape and form, and what you're left with is actually be quite a dense mesh. That's okay, we can work with that, because what we could do with this then is retopo on top of this and make a nice low poly mesh like Moody. A lot lower poly anyway. Make a nice low poly mesh which we could then use. We can rig it or use it as a static and just go through the normal processes. Okay, so that's metaballs and sculpting with and how we can use them.